Hello and welcome to Irish Ears, a Disney fancast. On the pod, we aim to be your Irish viewpoint on Disney news, with a little focus on our second home, Disneyland Paris. Megan's from Belfast and her socials are Megan Loves Magic.
Stuart is from Dublin and his socials are DLP Tips for Irish.
Right, let's get straight into the news as we record this on Tuesday, 15th of August 2023. And I suppose the hot topic this week and last week, well, definitely this week, is the cancellation of Princess Breakfast. It's Princess Breakfast only getting cancelled, much to everyone's kind of rumours going around about everything else getting cancelled. But at the moment, it's just Princess Breakfast getting cancelled. And this kind of came out of the blue, Megan, didn't it?
It really did. Obviously, we've spoke about this before on here. I'm part of the Disneyland Paris Dream Team, so I had a wee bit of a 24 hours notice period before this kind of went public so that we could prepare ourselves for the onslaught of questions coming on. But it really did come out of the blue. I was not expecting that to be pulled at all. There was no sort of hint or anything to suggest that it was not going to be around for the long term. But it seems that Disneyland Paris have been letting a lot of people move their Princess Breakfast bookings to lunch or dinner. So if any of you listening to this has been affected and you've had to cancel your Princess Breakfast, they have been quite good at moving people to lunch and dinner if that's what you'd like to do. You may have to pay a slight top up because it's more expensive, but if you're really determined to dine with the princesses, that option is there for you. Or you can ask for a full refund if you've paid already, or you can move it for no extra cost to the Plaza Gardens character breakfast, which is, I think that's what I would do. But
yeah, that's logistics out of the way. But like the gossip, we need the gossip. Why do you think it's getting cancelled? Like, is it like my first thought was staffing issues or something like that? That, you know, it's a lot of work to be getting ready for princesses for, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning. And obviously they had it in the past in 2019. So maybe this was just a little trial run and it didn't go that well with the background of a couple of, employee relation issues at Disneyland Paris at the minute. So maybe the employees have the power right now.
Could well be. I thought staffing issues to begin with because, as I've said on this podcast before, booking the Princess Breakfast, if you haven't booked a package where you can add it as an extra, it's an absolute nightmare to get a reservation. We had so much trouble on our last trip trying to get a reservation. We were trying for days and days beforehand, nothing. And then we just asked concierge at Newport Bay and they gave us a table for 10. So we're still none the wiser how the reservations even worked. So I'm not surprised if it is because it's like undersubscribed or underbooked, because it was so hard to like work out how to book it. You know,
yeah, you and me were both there and it was like 70% empty. I mean, I went in for a table for one, and the whole, when you walk in, the whole left hand side, the kind of like pale blue area was empty. The whole area around the corner beside the Cinderella's carriage was empty, and it was just, there was like people were trying to throw their money at the place, but they weren't giving out the bookings.
That's it. That's the thing. Like, people want to spend money on this. People are more than happy to part with their cash to get that easy meet and greet with the princesses. So it's just a real shame that option. But Princess Breakfast is really, really good for families too, because you know that it's like yourself, to send your whole family for princess lunch and dinner, it has got outrageously expensive. And then when that Princess Breakfast option came in, it really did cut the costs a bit, and it sounded like people, you know, really wanted it, but it hasn't lasted long at all. And there's no sign of, that's worth saying as well, they haven't suggested any timeline for its return either. So if you're going on a trip anytime in the near future, I wouldn't bank on it being back. Certainly not before Christmas anyway.
No, I think, like, you know, where these rumors start, but like I think the review is maybe in March or something like that is the next review of whether it's coming back or not. So disappointing. Like, for me, and well, not for me, but like from my cohort of like looking at it from like a dad point of view, like the breakfast was much more accessible than the quasi fancy lunch and dinner menu, which tries to be fancy but just ends up being a little bit just inaccessible for people. I mean, I liked it. The pumpkin, like, let's go through it. Like, everyone goes kind of probably for the pumpkin soup, which has a lump of pumpkin at the bottom of the bowl, and then this is the lunch and dinner, by the way. And then I got like the braised beef, which is actually really nice, but like €95, it was not worth that. So and like so many people go in there and they completely just pay for the princesses, and like so many kids particularly go in and don't eat a thing, not a morsel of food.
Yeah,
So the
I
breakfast
know. I
was
kind of get it that
accessible.
it's. I get that they want the dinner to feel like a royal experience and have the food a bit more fancy, but it kind of doesn't always hit the target audience because it is going to be, largely the families with small children going to it, with the exception of us. Um, so I feel like the menu probably could have. There are probably ways that they could make that menu more accessible for the little ones. It doesn't have to be as fancy as it is. There could be like a meet in the middle point, but then if they do that, they're going to have to reduce the price again.
Maybe like Cinderella shaped chicken nuggets. That would just please everybody.
Oh, I can hear the hallelujah choruses of people listening to this right now.
And like then you have the angle of obviously the new Disneyland Hotel coming. Hopefully, well, we'll get that to it later, but hopefully it's next year at some stage. And that's going to be royal themed. Clearly, they're going to have princess experiences for dining in the hotel. So, like some angles were that they were going to move this into the hotel, but like I don't see why they would give away so much income in the next 6 to 9 months. If the hotel is not going to open until summer at least.
I still think they are going to move Princess Dining into the hotel, but like this is just me speculating. I don't have any information on this whatsoever.
We don't speculate. But, no.
Well, I'm just thinking they might move that into the hotel and then do something else with Auberge de Cendrillon if they're wanting to really like plus up the Disneyland hotel experience. Moving Princess Dining in there would be a good way to do that. But like you said, if they're going to do that, that's fine. But then why take the princess breakfast off the menu so early? It's just throwing away money.
We should have a drinking game for this podcast where people have to drink whenever we mention Natasha. So we had a brainstorm of a DM during the week there where I don't know if it was me or you, but we said, obviously everyone says demolish Princess Pavilion, but then move the princess meet and greet into Auberge. And then so much more space. You could probably have, I reckon, 4 rooms. You could have like proper backstage for the cast members. You could have virtual queue, because it's in a good location, like right next to the castles or anywhere in the main park. And you're like, 5 to 10 minute walk away from Auberge. And so at Natasha, that's what you got to do. Move all the princess dining into the hotel and move the princess experience of meet and greet into Auberge.
What they could do is they could even have 3 princesses in Auberge meeting and then have like, do you remember during COVID in the Princess Pavilion, they had that big throne you could sit on? That could just be like a photo pass opportunity. Like that's something else you could use photo pass for. Like
just restore the pavilion back to being the Small World shop or something. And like you could, well, if you're not going to do that, you could put so many small like new attractions into that area where Princess Pavilion is. And, we talked about demolishing Mickey Mouse to put in Runaway Railway in the past. So if you loop it around the back of the labyrinth there, I don't know, we're just talking crap at the moment, but lots of things to do. And Disneyland Paris does not give enough access to the princesses. This makes guests irate. This makes cast members more irate because they get treated like crap basically by the guests, because the guests are waiting for an hour and a half and they come having spent $3,000 and feel a kind of a misplaced sense of entitlement to treat people like shit. Beep, sorry, I'll beep that in post.
Nah, it's fine.
So we'll move on then, and on to kind of happier news of things opening up as opposed to closing down. We have Casa de Coco, the opening or the reopening of Fuente del Oro, and importantly, it brought back the frozen margarita. So I obviously haven't been. The menu is pretty much copy and paste from Fuente, and they brought back the drink and did a nice job on the interior, but not much else really. I hate to be pessimistic. I was really hoping for a kind of an enhanced burrito bar along the lines of like Boojum or Chipotle. That would have been right up my street.
Yes. Yeah, I was expecting a little bit of a plus up on the menu. I was a bit disappointed to see the exact menu coming back again, but it does look really nice. Like the remodeling inside looks lovely. So I'm gonna definitely gonna give it a chance on my next trip, and of course I'll be back for the frozen margaritas. They're the big draw for me into that area of the park anyway. But
Did you see they tried to flog the drink, the mug? You were away for a bit of this now, but when it opened up, they had the mug that was, I think, in 2017, it was €13 for the mug and then €2 extra for the drink in the mug. So 15 all in, and you got this brown kind of clay mug, and it used to be like Fuente themed, and now they're charging, I think it's 20 for the mug and 25 if you want the drink. So it's gone from 15 to 25. Crazy, and it's like
for
mildly,
God's sake, Natasha.
yeah, at Natasha, there's people will be getting langered on the drinking game. So yeah, but like
Yeah.
just disappointing. Like the burritos are gonna be pretty much pre-made, like and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like it was, I think it's €6 for some Doritos with some melted cheese on top of it. Like
It's not even real
I,
cheese. It's like that plastic,
oh,
like
it's
American
yeah,
cheese as well. There's
cheese
not
on
even
top.
real,
Yeah,
like, yeah.
cheese on top.
Mm.
As we talked about earlier, Disneyland Hotel had a small update during the week. There was the financial results, I believe, from the Walt Disney Company, and in that they had to give some sort of, bright light for investors, where they had to show like what was coming up in the next year or two, so that people wouldn't sell their stocks. And they said that the one thing that Disneyland Paris was on the list for was the Disneyland Hotel update. And we got a look at the new costumes for the cast members and the hotel staff. And it looks very royal. Actually, someone told me that it reminded them of Tower of Terror, which was a bit of a strange one. But it made sense, though, because they're both hotels, aren't they? Like, one's a bit dilapidated, but like it's kind of this kind of burgundy and gold, and links in with Tower of Terror. Imagine if someone like brought their luggage down to the Tower of Terror instead of the Disney Hotel.
Uh-oh. We are not responsible for any lost
No.
cases.
As I said, like still the same horror when you see your visa bill at the end of the day after staying at Disney Hotel. Like we're probably talking about like Hotel New York is upward of like, obviously the close. If you want to stay in Hotel New York tomorrow, it's going to be like 1,500 per night or something for a room of 3 or 4 people. But generally, I think in my head that like Hotel New York sits around 700-800 per night, and this is including park tickets. People, don't forget that when you're thinking like this is not the Marion or the Shelburne or whatever fancy hotel, 5-star hotel in Dublin or Belfast you want to think of. You're getting up to like 300 to 400 worth of park tickets included. Well, it's 2 days actually, so you're getting €700 worth of park tickets. So technically, the hotel is free. Sorry, I'm waffling. So
yeah, okay.
So there's going to be full on princess experience in the hotel. Like I feel in there, and you probably feel the same. They're going to put the princesses maybe behind a paywall that like you might have to be staying in the hotel to meet them one-on-one, similar to Hotel New York.
Yeah. I think so. If they're going to do that in Hotel New York still at this point, I think the princesses are definitely going to be, there's going to be a princess meet and greet at least that is just for hotel guests. But I think what they might do you ever remember when they used to have, like during the day randomly, the princesses just used to come down the steps of the Disneyland Hotel and take like a few pictures with people and then leave again just as like a little hi? I think that could come back. But again, also might be reserved for hotel guests if there's going to be photos taken and things.
See, I think even with the Hotel New York, the fact that the Avengers are behind that wall where only guests can meet them, I feel that it kind of puts other guests from going into the hotel, puts them off. So I suppose they do want to protect the hotel and make it a premium experience that if you're paying for it, that you feel premium, whereas you don't want like regular plebs like me and you if we're not staying in the hotel from like swanning around with our thousands of plastic bags and, just trying to get the nearest sofa to Main Street. That's what I always loved about Disneyland Hotel beforehand, was like you could just fall into it off Main Street and sit down on the sofa for a while and just chill out. And that's not what they want from the new hotel. They're plowing a fortune into this hotel.
That's it. And I think for the price that people are going to be paying, like you said, per night, there's going to have to be a lot of perks to stay there. Like, obviously, there's the massive perk of basically staying in the park. But I think people are going to want and expect more than just that. If you're going to be charging $1,000, possibly upward, definitely upward if you're getting a Castle Club room per night.
Yeah, I think they're going to print money for about 2 years with that hotel. Like, it's absolutely nuts, right? The 30th anniversary has felt like possibly the biggest anniversary that the park has ever had. I don't know about you, but like it's gone on for a year and a half. Do you know, the success of Dream and Shine Brighter and things like that. And like, who was sitting around the boardroom and said, yeah, lads, let's close our 5-star hotel at the gates?
I have no idea. I'll never understand like where the logic was, because there's other hotels that could have been refurbed during that time. They could have done Sequoia. It's like the next one, I think,
either. Like, it was just, yeah.
No, I think a lot of people said it was like outdated or whatever, but like it wasn't. I still thought it was the nicest hotel out of all of them when I went in. Like, yeah. But Natasha, shots.
People be drunk. So leading into that update from Disney Hotel, we got a small update from a Disney executive, Josh D'Amaro, who's head of Parks and Experiences. That sounds like a TV show. Parks and Experiences. So himself and Natasha, another drink, stood in the middle of the new lake in Walt Disney Studios Park, and they had their wellies on. This was like comedy. I think this is going to be a meme in a few weeks, or if not already. So they stood in the middle of the lake, and the only reason there's water in the lake is because it's rained so much in the last few weeks. They had wellies on. They had this terrible audio. It was so windy because it's in the middle of a massive lake that's not filled in yet. And, it was basically Josh came over to do some business. Like, I don't know why. Like, usually when you send over an executive not to break news, it's to break bad news in the background. So, like, he might have been given some bad news to some people. Do you know what I mean? And he had to do a face-to-face. Yeah. So they just said, get out there with your Starbucks cup and stand in the middle of the lake there. And because they could have done it from on top of the Tower of Terror, in the same way that Bob took a picture from the top of the Tower of Terror a few months ago. And
could have done that. So
Natasha did her best job at trying to hype up anything that was coming. And I've obviously, I listened to nearly every DLP podcast out there, so everyone's saying the same thing, that what was not said was way more important than what was said. So, like, no mention of a Star Wars land, no mention of, not even any mention of like the Rapunzel flat ride, no mention of the English Gardens. There was talk of obviously Arendelle, and then there was talk of a restaurant looking over the lake. No talk of lake entertainment. No talk of, like, everyone's dreaming about this Lion King land or Pandora possibly coming over. Like, nothing to do with that. Like, do you remember D23? I think it was just the end of is that a year ago at this stage, where they wheeled out all these madcap ideas about what was it? It was a villain's
like
king. Yeah,
Zootopia lands and all this here. Carry on.
Yeah, and just they don't want to get people hyped up for the Studios Park, but it's going to be a doubling of the square footage of Walt Disney Studios. So, I'm usually positive about it, but just the executives at Disney just are on a bad run of doing things wrong at the moment.
I just think if they're not going to give us a third land, just say so. Stop dragging it out. Stop making us speculate and hope and hold on to clinging hope about Star Wars, about The Lion King or whatever. If it's not happening, just put us out of our misery and tell us that. Or if it's been delayed, more likely than cancelled.
Do you remember the same concept art that they had 4 years ago? That is still up in massive poster in front of the construction site. So people are walking by and you can clearly see Galaxy's Edge, and everyone's still thinking that's coming and whatever. Like, I've been screaming at people connected to Disney or connected through travel agents, etc., to like tell us a hype reason for Disneyland Paris in 2024, like apart from the hotel, because like most people can't afford to stay in the hotel. So we are waiting with a bated breath. Like, I already have trips planned, and you do also, for next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Disneyland Paris are going to go absolutely mental with Disney 100 after Christmas or something. But who knows?
I don't think they will, because it's too late. Disney 100's been running everywhere else all year. For them to start in January, it's like, are we doing 101, 101 years? Like,
yeah, well, like technically it's only October 16th, I think, is the anniversary. So they're only going to be 10 weeks late. I suppose it's easier when California... Parks. Yeah, but California had nothing like to celebrate, and Walt Disney World went heavy on the 50th until like March, April. So maybe when they ditch, it's a ready-made thing, isn't it? Like with all the merch and all the bunting and, you know, I don't know, clutching at straws here, folks.
I'm not going to get excited, because I would personally love to see a big Disney 100 celebration. I would love to see the characters out in their wee outfits, but I just don't want to get my hopes up, because DLP have done it too many times to me, where they've got me excited about something and then just shut it down. So I'm not getting excited.
We should have brought out Mickey and Minnie in their outfits to take press pictures with a popular cooking show in France in front of the castle about 3 months ago. And those outfits have not been seen since.
Nope, not once.
And we still haven't got our meet and greet with Mickey.
They do that all the time.
Or Minnie in the 30th anniversary outfits. No meet and greet for the...
They do this all the time, where they like whip out the good stuff for press and photo ops with celebrities and things like that. And it makes it look like two guests, because that's all going to be on TV and in the papers and all online, that they have these outfits and this is something that guests are going to be able to meet the characters in. And it's not. It's just press photos, and that's literally it. Everything else is just normal, like standard DLP. And they whip out a different Mickey and Minnie as well, but we'll not get into that because that upsets me.
Yeah, let's not get into behind the magic. But yeah, speaking of magic, the magical family from Colombia, the Mirabels, there was a casting call for the Madrigals. Mirabel has been cast for a new show in spring 2024. Now, like, our imaginations are gone on this. They're just floated off into orbit.
Boom.
Is this going to be the daytime parade? Like the...
I hope so. I think...
The midday parade, kind of...
I'm hopeful.
Replacement?
I'd like to see it replace Star Zone Parade, personally. I'd love to see it, like,
a
whole new parade. Because that, like, much as I love it and it's a classic, it's fallen apart. Like, I think a new wee 5 o'clock parade would be very, very nice. And because there's so many great films that have been out since Star Zone Parade came on that they could incorporate those characters from. Like, I mean, we know DLP, they're going to bring out the Frozen 2 float again. We're not, like, we know that's coming, of course it is. But
they're going to flog it.
Yeah, so, but like having like Encanto, it's so good and it's so popular, and they need to get on that before the hype dies, and it's already starting to die a little bit, I think. So it's been a while since they
have the Disney 100 concert going on. They have Disney on Ice over the winter, and they have all these like kind of, you know, customer survey, like real life customer surveys happening, where they can gauge the. Now, obviously, from Disney Plus streams, they know what's popular, and yet we just get the same parade. Which I don't know. Star Zone Parade feels way older than like 5 years old at this stage. I know we had the gap for COVID and whatever, but like when you watch it, it feels like something from. It feels older than Dreams.
It does, and I think part of it is, you know, the way after COVID, when they couldn't have princes and princesses sitting next to each other in the carriages, that I think that's what kind of dulled it for me when they put all the princesses just on one float and they made it shorter.
Yeah,
rather than having the like carriages and things like that. And it just, I don't know, it just
yeah, and you
seems
have no
to have
thanks to
lost its
our friends in
sparkle
the
a bit,
States, we have
which is a
no
real shame
um
because that's meant to be their big parade, and everyone preferred Dream and Shine Brighter. Like, that kind of says it all. Dream and Shine Brighter has like 2 floats in it, 3 floats maybe, and everyone
yeah,
prefers that.
which is crazy because like, you know, it's not for the lack of enthusiasm by the dancers and the cast in Stars on Parade. Like, it's just what they're working with, I suppose. Like every different day, there's always a float that's not working, or like they haven't been able
Yeah,
to do the Dragon Fire since Fantasmic went on fire, and
yeah.
that's just
Oh,
made
that's another
everyone
float
like
then.
it still comes out, but it just like it's it's a bit sad because the dragon builds up. You know, the music builds up to where it's gonna spew,
Yes.
but nothing happens. So it's a bit strange.
Ugh.
And then like everyone's seen all on social media and all the promos, dragon breathing the fire, and then it doesn't happen, and then everyone's disappointed every single day. But no, like it's
Oh,
like I've seen it. I saw the Stars on Parade for the first time ever. Like, was the last time I could ever use the Infinity viewing area for Stars on Parade, and you get really close up to the dancers and stuff like that and stuff, and they're just giving it socks like every day. So shout out to all the cast members and performers in Stars on Parade. But like even like the Nemo float, where there's nothing happening on it. It's just like crush. I wouldn't even call it animatronic really, and
and
Nemo is just
Stone
like this
Nemo on the
weird,
side. Have you seen the
yeah,
picture of Stone
oh,
Nemo?
yeah. So
If anyone wants to see Stone Nemo, send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send them to you. But it's like it's my favorite part. It's my favorite part of the parade, and it's not even meant to be part of the parade. That says it all.
and
But
then they obviously had to
okay.
get rid of Zippity Doodah, you know, for the whole cancel culture.
Yeah.
So like I don't when I'm in a Disney park, I know with Tiana as well and Splash Mountain and stuff like that. Like obviously, if it was sensitive to my culture, I would feel very different. So that's just a huge disclaimer for that. But like they got rid of Zippy to do that, and that kind of you know kept together the whole musical arrangement or something. Like whenever I watched Stars on Parade, a few hours after, I was still singing Zippy to do that because I felt like it glued it all together. So it's just unfortunate the way they've had to cut it.
It's just been kind of chipped away at the whole parade just gradually. I think since COVID, like they've chipped away little bits of it. It's kind of got to the point now where there's nothing left to chip away. They just have to clean the slate and start again.
Yeah. Speaking of starting again, the old annual pass office, which I always thought would be a great restaurant, is now becoming I suppose this is temporary also because everything is temporary at the moment in Disneyland Paris. The old annual pass office, which is like it's a building just to the front right of the castle. It kind of looks really well out onto the castle stage for anyone listening who's not aware of it. Some people thought it might be a Starbucks. I thought that was a bit weird.
No, not in the
That's
park, not in Paris.
no, that is going to host the Disneyland Pass, which is a new annual passes. That's going to host the new character meet and greets, which is going to be kind of quarterly, I suppose, isn't it? They said 3 or 4 meet and greets for Disneyland
Something
Pass
like that.
holders, 3 or 4 weeks at a time, or something obscure.
Something like that. Like, couldn't have one all the time. But I don't know. It's one of those. I just don't believe them. I don't believe them that this is going to be a long term thing at all. I feel like there's going to maybe be 2 or 3, and then they're going to disappear, and they'll not say anything about it. They'll just stop, like the AP shop in Storybook Store. It's just going to stop one day, and
Yeah, but like I suppose we don't know how it's going to go. So if they pedal out, like Powerline Max or something like that, or something like if they bring out Oogie Boogie, or if they like these characters who would be. I'm not saying I don't know anything about the logistics of getting these characters to Disneyland Paris, but they exist. They come like Mandalorian. I mean,
yeah.
who else was there for? I think Ray and Chewie. Like there was like a 4-hour queue for meeting Ray. I mean, all these characters. where every few months, depending on what season it is, they have 3 or 4 hour queues. It would make a
Yeah.
lot more sense if they had those appearing in this location. And then when they come out for the seasonal appearances, you would then remove the need for all the annual pass holders to be in a frenzy about it.
Yeah.
Just leave it to the non pass holders to fight over the spots. Done.
I don't
Natasha.
know. We'll see. Natasha.
Yes. And speaking of rare characters and character experiences, we've all been mesmerized by the August launch of Walt Disney World's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And I don't know, maybe it's just the high quality of the content creators that are covering it, but to me it looked brilliant. Like Disneyland Paris could never, full stop.
Absolutely. They could never. And
Could never.
will never. And we just will never. No intention to ever. But it does look fantastic. I think the coverage has been so good. Like the vloggers that have been out there already and put the content out, they've done such a good job. But you can tell it is just a good party. Like I've heard before that there's really long character lines at Mickey's Not So Scary. I've never been myself, but it looks like there has been a lot of effort put in, and I think that anybody who has a ticket for it is going to have a really, really good night. I'm just waiting for Oogie Boogie Bash now. If that's what Walt Disney World are doing, I'm busting to see what's going to happen at Disneyland this year. It's going to be good.
So these events, I suppose there's multiple of these events, isn't there? It's not like Paris where they have like one soiree. There's like these are weekly, aren't they? I think roughly.
I think there's. I'm not sure, but I think there are definitely multiple events at Walt Disney World. I'm not sure how frequent they are. I know at Disneyland it's usually, I think it's 2 each week in September and then 3 each week in October. But they tend to have more events, but they sell less tickets to each event. So I feel like you get way more done in a night than you would in the like one night DLP extravaganza, because there's just less people there. But they charge more for the experience, but you get more done, so it works out. You feel like you're getting value for money.
So much money.
Whereas I think
so much money getting spent on those nights.
So much money. But I think that's kind of the problem with the Disneyland Paris, when you're paying an awful lot of money and not getting an awful lot done. So that's what kind of gets people's backs up at those events, because they've maybe got like 2 out of their priority things done in a 5-hour gap. So,
well, this is it. Like you're always thinking with Paris that there's always something else going on in the background. So obviously these events run till 2, 3 a.m. at nighttime. And from a cast member's point of view, and therefore a union point of view, like I'm not sure whether cast members want to work these or not. Like you would have to have a whole separate rota of cast members. Like obviously if you work till 2 or 3 a.m. at nighttime, you're not going to be in the next morning for magic time. So like there just seems to be a much bigger pool of cast members in the US parks that they can just pull in whenever they want it, whereas in Paris, and maybe it's a union thing and protecting the workers' rights and the workers' basically safety and mental health, that like, you know, they don't put out these events as much. And always with Disneyland Paris, they never really go for that premium element. So like they always go for some sort of halfway house where they it feels like you're getting ripped off for like, you know, a regular not great event. Whereas they're scared of charging more for a brilliant event. They don't want to have like ultra premium events. Whereas in reality, like there's a lot of money in Europe. There's a lot of money. And people would come if they knew it was going to be this amazing thing. Like, you know, get our Saudi friend back.
Oh, Saudi friends, where are you? If I genuinely thought they were going to pull off a party like Mickey's Not So Scary or the Oogie Boogie Bash, I'd have no problem throwing the money at them. Absolutely no problem at all. I just don't have the confidence that they want to pull off an event to that quality. So I don't know.
Like for the people who haven't seen these vlogs, basically we're just kind of spoiler for you and give you a quick summary without giving you the quality of the content that's out there on YouTube. So like there's trick-or-treating at the events. Disneyland Paris could never. So you walk around and you either get a bag or your bucket or whatever, and cast members are shoveling bags of sweets into your trick or treat bag, and then you have like obviously, you know, unique meet and greets. You have the parade, which looks incredible, and you have the headless horseman. Like there's a headless horseman riding down Main Street. Could you picture this in Paris? They have special fireworks, like themed, like a whole fireworks event themed for Halloween. Also, just one thing to note, which is important, I didn't realize this until I actually looked into the logistics of it. It gets darker much earlier in Florida in the summer than it does in Paris.
Does it?
Yes. So I think I looked it up. It's about 8, half 8 at the moment, which
Okay.
is, you know, what are we at? It's currently 9:30 on the east coast of Ireland, and you know, still a little bit of light in the sky there. So yeah, they definitely have an hour and a half ahead of Europe, I'd say, on darkness. So they probably have more time to do it. But yeah, bring it on. Like I was talking to someone online today, and I think it was, you know, Arvid Travel to the Magic, and he was saying,
Oh, yeah.
we were saying that like when Disneyland Paris gets done with the 30th anniversary, they should pull back Halloween to at least the 1st of September. Just pull it back 1 month. I think August is too early. I don't know. I know you love it. I love it. But I just think it's a little bit too early. I just think like it's 111 degrees Fahrenheit. What's that, like 42, 43 degrees Celsius in Florida at the moment? And you're meant to,
Yeah.
like, I always assume, I think of Halloween, I think of like cold, rainy nights in October. So, but we were saying, yeah, pull it back to the 1st of September, and you know, do a few paid nights. Like the paid nights don't have to be till 2 a.m. Like 12 or 1 is fine.
No.
Like let's have a bit of balance with the cast members if that's what the issue is. But sure, we don't know what state the cast member relationship is going to be after August 29th or August 30th is the meeting date. I think the first meeting date.
30th, I think, is the meeting day, so we'll have a better idea then, I guess, how things are going.
Yeah, there's a series of meetings scheduled, I think 2 or 3 throughout September as well. So we're hopeful that there's no action. Well, we're hopeful that the cast members get what they want and get what they deserve, and that will just fix it all. Like it's similar to the SAG and the Actors Guilds and the Writers
AFTRA.
Guilds and stuff.
Yeah.
In America, in that, like, someone was posting out there the percentage of the revenue of the streaming sites that the actors are looking for. Do you know? And this is like,
Oh, it's
one
tiny.
It's under. So think of 1%, and then divide by 10, so you get like 0.1. So it's under 0.1% of the entire revenue. They're looking for an increase, and they're looking for, you know, it's kind of hard to police this. Sorry, it's this massive tangent, but they're looking for just whenever, like, if you write a song and your song is played in the radio station, no matter how old you are, if you wrote it in the 60s or the 70s, whatever, you will get residuals. You will get like royalties for decades afterwards. But if you make an absolute killer show, like, I don't know, like The Office or House of Cards or like The Simpsons, maybe The Simpsons is different, but because it was older, but like all these modern contracts with Netflix, Disney Plus, etc., like no matter how many times your show is seen, you've just been paid for the work you did, and then they could have a runaway success and you're not getting the money for it. So this is just sign of the times, and this is big companies realizing that they have to respect their workers. So like we all know, Disneyland Paris,
so
the heartbeat of Disneyland Paris is the cast members and all Disney parks. So they need to crack on with giving them what are very reasonable demands for a bit of respect, in my mind.
I think so for both strikes. Yeah.
Just select all.
Like,
select all.
Select all. Yeah, exactly. Shall we shimmy on to our next topic?
A hell of a weekend. Yes. Me and you had a hell of a weekend.
Oh, we did.
So we were at, and well, you spent the whole weekend at Dublin Comic Con. Tell
And
us.
she's still recovering from Comic Con 2 days
She's still
later.
recovering.
I'm still. I'm wrecked. I was there from. I came down to Dublin on the Friday night, and I was there pretty much the whole of both Saturday and Sunday at Dublin Comic Con at the Convention Centre at Dublin. I was there as a affiliate creator, so I was there just to basically make a lot of content to make the event look amazing, and the event was amazing. It don't need me to come on there and tell people it is amazing, because it was. But it's such a busy weekend, and there were so many people. I've never seen so many people squished in the one convention centre. What about you? Like, what did you think?
Yeah, like I've never been to one before. I know it was your first as well. I had no kind of preconceived notions of it. All I had seen really was, clips from the American Comic Cons, etc. But obviously, me and you were there for meeting Brett Iwan on the Sunday.
We were.
And we were not let down by that experience in one iota. It was everything that it should have been, and it was. He was a lovely man. His mother was lovely.
Yeah, she was a babe.
You convinced me to get the autograph, which I was like, nah, like not paying for an autograph and paying for a photograph with him. But then when I realized, like pretty much on the spot, that he had little prints that he was going to sign, and that you were actually going to get a lot more time to speak to him in the autograph experience than the photograph experience. I was like, yeah, take the money.
I think we were so lucky that we were there for Brett, like that he was our like fave of the weekend, because I think if you were going to say meet the Terminator cast or whatever, none of them got to spend as much time with their celebrities as we got to spend with Brett. They were just all kind of shimmied along. But Brett really took his time with everyone. I felt like everyone that came to get an autograph, you really got to speak to him for quite a while and ask questions. And there was it didn't feel like there was anything sort of off limit that you couldn't really ask. Because I went to his panel, which was on the day before, that was hosted by Geek Ireland. Shout out to Geek Ireland, who are awesome. They did a panel with him, and it was like a Q&A where they asked him a load of questions and then opened it up to the floor. And at the time, everyone in the audience was kind of under the impression that he couldn't talk about Disney or Mickey because of the SAG-AFTRA strike. But thanks to some lovely loopholes in contracts and things like that, he was able to chat away about Mickey and his experiences working for Disney, and he did the Mickey voice, and my soul left my body when he did that, because it just kind of came out of nowhere. He was just talking about voice acting, and then he sort of went, "Oh boy," and I was like, "Whoa!" It was insane. It was so good, and it's just not often that in Dublin you get the chance to meet people like that. Like, Disney legends don't come here, and even less do you get the chance to actually speak to them and have one-on-one chats with them. So I think we were so lucky.
I think I'll be sliding into his mother's DMs in a few months or weeks, try and get him back over with a few pals.
I actually saw, did you see on, like, there was a bit of a rumor going around, I don't want to speculate, but there is talks of potentially more Disney voice legends coming next time. So I'm crossing everything that is, there's truth in that rumor. Like, I would love to see Brett again, but I'm just like, Caitlin Robrock.
Yeah.
Or Jim Cummings or somebody, or Bill Farmer.
Anyone like that. Like, do you know, I don't think it's not like the Disney voice actors are so, like, obviously for the ultras are, all about them, but for the regular folk on the street, you would not know. Like, we went to meet Brett, and like you said, the Terminator, the Buffy characters, they were all like out the door. They were, I'm not sure you would have got to say a word to them really. But when we walked
James
up,
Marsters probably not.
No, and like just for people's I suppose expectations, if they want to go next year to Dublin Comic Con, basically with the autographs, you go up and you have a chat, and then this is with Brett, so kind of a low volume guest, I would say, compared to the Terminator and Buffy characters. We were chatting for ages. Like, the mother, who, by the way, is fully Irish. Like, Megan obviously knows this too, because you were there.
Yep.
But she was born in Ireland. Now, she obviously has an American accent, because when you go to America for a hot minute, you get an American accent. And but no, she's born in Ireland, like full on family in Ireland, multiple brothers and sisters, and I don't think it would take Brett much to be tempted back to Ireland in the future. So we'll be all about that in the next few years. But yeah, we were both talking to her for ages. We were talking to Brett for ages. I thought he gave you a big hug.
He did, because he watched my vlog after. I watched. I had made a vlog, obviously, because that was what I was at Comic-Con to do. Was to make vlogs, and I posted one that night and tagged him in it. Did not expect him to see it. Never mind, like, make a point of being like, I watched your vlog, can I give you a hug? And I was like, why are you asking me if you can give me a hug? Like, get your the other way around. Like, what are you doing?
Who's charging who?
He was. I know it did seem like genuinely like delighted that he'd been featured in the vlog, and the fact that he remembered me and remembered that he'd sat up and watched it last night, I was just like starstruck. It's class.
Yeah, so we'll definitely get it back onto him. I obviously threw him a few badges, because I threw him a few I'm Irish badges with Disneyland Paris Tips for Irish. I'm Irish badges. And because he's more Irish than a lot of people are that who say, "Oh, I'm Irish," I'm 1/4 Irish, whatever. He's way more Irish than Walt. And the thing I said to him, and it means a lot to us as an island, right? I don't know if people know this, but Brett is only the 4th voice actor for Mickey, like the official Mickey, the gold standard voice of Mickey globally. There's a few productions out there where another actor does the voice, but they're very secondary things. So,
yep.
But he's the only, a few interesting facts for Brett. He's the only, so he's the only Mickey that can draw Mickey as well, or could draw Mickey. Obviously, a few other, I think the rest of them have all passed since. So, like, he's closest thing to Walt incarnate you're going to get, because he does the voice and he can draw Mickey. He's an illustrator by trade. I think he worked for Hallmark as his first job.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Irish connection, which you have, I used to think was quite a strong connection with Walt, but Brett has blown it out of the water with his much stronger connection. So all about the Irish. Disney is just a big Irish house.
Yeah. And another super fun fact about Brett that I thought was interesting. I'm going to give you a fun fact about Brett that he gave at the panel. I can't remember whether he said it on day 2 or not, but he actually auditioned to be the stand-in voice of Mickey Mouse. That was his job. He was second to Wayne Allwyn, and that was what he auditioned for, and he was all delighted. But then, unfortunately, Wayne passed away. And he just got promoted, so all of a sudden, full-time Mickey Mouse voice. Like, I didn't know that. I thought that the idea was that he was always going, like, that he'd been brought on to just take over gradually from Wayne, but I didn't realize his original role that he auditioned for was actually stand-in. So that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and what's also interesting with that particular story is that he never met his predecessor, like in a kind of a capacity where, oh, here's the baton, you're going to be taken over now, or you're going to be taken over in the future. All of his training, like all of his official training, he obviously practiced to be Mickey beforehand, but all of his, like, once he had the job, all of his training was with the content that his predecessor had put out. It wasn't there was no formality there where it's kind of like, oh, follow this instruction guide on how to become Mickey Mouse. It was like, I have to go back and watch all the content and teach myself. So
yeah,
it's a really interesting story. And he's only, I'm going to say 40, maybe 41.
I think 40. I think maybe just turned 41, possibly.
So he'll be back at Comic-Con for sure at Dublin.
An awful lot accomplished in a short life, really, when you listen to him talk, especially at the panel, like the amount that he's achieved and when he sort of round off all the different projects he's done as Mickey, you're like, wow, like that's And like he's so young as well. Like he's going to be Mickey for a
So
long
young.
time. I feel
He's going to be
he's
Mickey
going to
for
be
a
Mickey
long
for a
time,
long while.
and he has been Mickey for a long time as well because he became Mickey in his late 20s. That is incredible. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people haven't done a tap by their late 20s,
Yeah.
and like he became the voice of Mickey Mouse. And like voice work, I know everyone's voice vocal cords kind of age, but you can keep a voice going into your, I'm going to say 70, maybe late 60s, 70, if you you know, I think so. I think there's a lot of voice actors on The Simpsons, particularly who are um, in their 60s doing the same
And
voice, particularly women. Yeah, yeah.
have been there a very long time. Like the voice of the voice of Bart, Nancy Cartwright. She's been doing that for since The Simpsons began. Wasn't she the original Bart?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah,
voice
like it
actor
was
nerds.
big time. But like from my point of view, like I was just there on my own steam, and I was just there to enjoy it. You know, I'm actually, for a lot of people don't know that. Well, obviously people know that I'm mad into Marvel and stuff like that. But I'm a big, like, not a comic book geek, but just a geek about nearly all other geek communities. Really, like I used to play like Xbox an awful lot, like every other young man, really, and way into the small hours. And I just love, like I spoke to you about it when we were there. I just love people with a passion for something. Like they have their little niche and they love it, and they're not afraid to love it, and they're not afraid to congratulate and to um, just support other people who love different things or who love what they love. And it was just, there was a whole lot of love at the Comic Con, and I just think it's great. Like me and you were obviously traveling. You didn't travel that far to get to the con, but I traveled in on the Lewis from the suburbs of Dublin, and I was head to toe, nearly head to toe in Mickey Mouse gear, and people were looking at me a bit funny. But by the time I got to the city centre, there was people in full on, anime, manga gear, and I was not the star of the show anymore when people were fully on dressed in their cosplays. So like, I loved it, and I think like I'm probably going to go to the next one, and I'm probably going to start planning for some sort of cosplay. I think because like, why not?
I'm absolutely
Like,
doing
like
cosplay. Yeah. Like
why
it was
not? Like,
amazing, and like the amount of
yeah,
effort, the talent and the effort in the cosplay community was just. I knew they were good, but like to see so many people in one space with these most incredible costumes that they've clearly been working on for such a long, long time for this weekend. It was, and everyone was just hyping each other up too. They were like, "Oh, can I take a picture with you? Can I take a picture with you?" Like it was such a nice, friendly environment. It just shows you like you just wish everything could be like that. Everywhere could be as welcoming and friendly as Comic Con, because like isn't that ideal? The world would be a better place if everyone was a bit more like the Comic Con attendees, I think.
that's it. Yeah, like it was massively positive, and it was massively a friendly event, and there was an awful lot of parents there with their kids. Very, very family friendly event. Obviously there was some cosplays that were quite adult in relation to the source content, like horror movies and things. But there was no adult like behavior of any sort. There was no like, I don't think there was alcohol served at the event. We went for a pint at lunchtime, but I don't think like it was very much a family friendly event. So, but be sure to get your tickets quick next time, guys, because I think it's sold out about a month in advance of the Comic Con, and a lot of people were disappointed they couldn't go. And so
Yeah.
make sure the next one might be March. I think they do a March, and then they do a summer event.
Yeah, March and June. I'm keeping everything crossed that they do invite me back next year to do some more content. But even if they don't, I'm sure I'll come back anyway because it was such a brilliant weekend. I would highly recommend it, and I will probably start shouting about it as soon as the new dates and stuff are announced. I'll be shouting about it on my Instagram stories because I'll want to go. So keep an eye, and
And
we'll
you'll
try and keep
you'll
everyone.
you'll hear it right here in Irish Ears.
Yeah, we'll give as much notice as we can give people about it next year. So can't wait.
Right, so back to Disneyland Paris and Disney specific content. it's cool, isn't it, the way like Disney content kind of leaks into all other types of just pop culture and things. Like I think you have to be aware of other things that are happening. Like I didn't want to have a big chat here about Barbie and Oppenheimer, but like there's no way that what Disney are going to do in the next few years haven't been impacted by the Barbie phenomenon. So like I think everyone should be aware of that. I think it's a bit much now to have a Barbie cinematic universe. Kind of like but let's see where it goes. I thought from the Barbie movie, what the Barbie movie accomplished was that it showed that we need more female female I don't want to be a big what's the word here, a bit kitsch, but like there's a certain type of, like, I can't speak for this because I'm not a woman obviously, but like I don't think feminism needs more movies about toys. I think feminism needs more movies where women are in charge and they decide what they want to do for a movie. But I think Mattel are going to just roll out like Hot Wheels and Uno, and they're building a kind of a theme park in, I think it's Arizona or Colorado or somewhere like that.
I think Arizona. Arizona rings a bell with me.
Somewhere hot. Yeah.
I was going to say that would not be a fun place to visit. I think I'll be too hot. Like
no, and let's just leave it there. I think that the Barbie movie showed that you don't need to make it about a gimmick. Yeah, we tangented. So speaking of tangent and speaking of Barbies and princesses, next week is Princess Week in our beautiful Disneyland Paris, and yours truly will be attending, please God, from Thursday, like a proper little trip, not a solo content trip or whatever. I'll be heading over with some family members, and I'll be there from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
that's
I'm
a big one for you.
It's nice, yeah. It's more than one night, which I'll take. Yeah.
And where are you staying? Tell us all the details. Well, don't tell us where you're staying for safety reasons. Are you staying on site?
I'm not staying on site. No.
Okay.
It's a budget trip for sure. I'm flying into let's just call it an airport that I haven't flown into before, that has a bit of controversy. Yes. But like, I do it for the content, do it for the peeps, I have to be able to advise people why to stay in certain hotels or go to certain airports or how to get places, and I don't think I can do it without going there myself. So
by people, it's me included. I get this advice also of which ones to stay in and which ones to avoid. So
exactly. Well, like I often think that when I go to Disneyland Paris, I have two kind of heads on my shoulders. One is the kind of family viewpoint where I'm picturing being an hour and a half in a transfer versus the Disney adult side of it, where like that's no problem because you just stick on a podcast or stick on a movie. But like you try and keep a 2-year-old in a transfer for an hour and a half, and you'll see red. So I think it's useful. And staying off site. I haven't actually decided my hotel yet. This is weird. This is the book.
Well, that's good a week out.
Yeah, this is the booking.com problem, really. So I've got 2 hotels booked, and I don't recommend this because it would destroy tourism for local areas. And don't do as I do as I say. But I need to know the temperatures a bit better for this trip, because it's August. In August you can have 24 degrees or 40 degrees. So I think we're going to get lucky and have a low temperature, which will hopefully mean we're going to stay in my preferred hotel. But if it gets a bit hotter, I have a backup hotel booked, which has hopefully better aircon, and I can switch last minute. But that's why you pay more for your hotel. You pay a bit more flexibility. You pay more for flexibility, like the refundable rate or whatever. So, and I've got. Hopefully, so no park on the Thursday, and then full day park Friday, full day park Saturday, and then hopefully like a half day on the Sunday.
Have you got any exciting meals booked or anything?
No, not at all. No, sure, would you be doing that?
Not at all.
No,
Why would you?
no. there's a few, at least one picky eater a little bit in the group. So we're just going to wing it, and that's grand because like, I just prefer people, and this goes for anybody. Like, don't think that you have to suddenly eat new foods or new things that you don't want to eat at Disneyland Paris. Like, the experience is there. Okay, the food is part of the experience, but like, very few people, if they've had an amazing cast member experience or seen the fireworks or seen the drones, whatever, like, what were the top 5 things you've done at Disneyland Paris? Like, it's rarely going to be, the food at Plaza Gardens, whatever. It's going to be
No, it's never going to be the food at Plaza Gardens.
but it's going to be some character
Never.
experience or a ride experience or a entertainment experience, I feel. So people
Yeah.
should just chill a bit on the pressure that is put on getting the food reservations in there. Like, there's plenty of great counter service, quick service restaurants. And so we're just going to wing it a bit. And
I think the only caveat to that is if you've got a meal plan. I think if you've got a meal plan, there is a bit more kind of pressure to book the
Which you and
restaurants
me never have.
just to get the most out of it. Which we don't.
Yeah.
Which we don't have, but other people might. Like,
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
get the most value out of the meal plan.
Here's a top tip for meal plans. Do them backwards. So once you sign up for a meal plan, get your bookings, right? And then if you don't get the bookings that you want, cancel your meal plan. Don't go through with a meal plan if you have bad bookings or the bookings that you don't want to have, or you're stuck, like, for some reason you're stuck eating in the hotel buffets that you didn't plan on eating there, or you've no interest in going to Cafe Agrabah, but you're stuck with a reservation for Cafe Agrabah. Just cancel your meal plan. Stick with the breakfast. Don't spend money, like €40, 30 or €40 for the buffets if that wasn't part of your plan anyway. Like, great if you can get downtown, if you can get a princess experience or a plaza breakfast and a plaza dinner, etc. Perfect, beautiful. Pim Kitchen, another great place. Chez Remy, Captain Jack's if you're into that sort of food. But don't waste your meal plans on Casey's Corner and Annette's. It's not worth it. You're wasting your money. Literally, you're not using the value in the euro value of the meal plans. So back on to Princess Week. I'm very excited. I'm going over with a few princesses, and I'm excited to hear starting now. I'm excited to see what very limited new food they have or snacks they have out for the week. And hopefully there's maybe one or two princesses. I'm hoping Moana maybe might be out at least a little bit, in the parade.
Yeah, and it would be nice for them to have some nice magic shots as well. That would be good.
Yeah, they usually have Pocahontas in a magic shot. Like, why not just cast Pocahontas? I don't know, but who knows?
Oh, would you want them to try? Do you want them to try and cast Pocahontas at Disneyland Paris? No, she's not. She's not.
No, she's not. Mirabelle's not a princess. Maybe one day, but like Vanellope, like honorary princess.
I think so. After Wreck-It Ralph 2, definitely.
Yeah, she was in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I planned this trip in kind of April, May, hoping that Princess Week would fall this week that I was booking it. And I'm really looking forward to going over with some family and having a great old time. Looking forward to seeing Together again. I'm looking forward to bringing people to the Together show and seeing what they think of it. Because when I watched it twice, I was alone. So obviously in my head is a big echo chamber of positivity. Some people haven't seen Avengers Campus that are really looking forward to seeing it. And my daughter would just sit on Big Thunder Mountain all day. So I'll probably do that ride a few times. So yeah, looking forward to it. And I'll give you all an update when I get back on the next pod.
Yeah, we'll do a full roundup in the next episode. There, we've got our topic for next time.
Boom, boom.
Shall we
Right,
close
that
out?
is a wrap on episode 6 of Irish Ears, a Disney Fancast. You can keep up to speed with us both, Stuart on DLP Tips for Irish and Megan on Megan Loves Magic socials. Please send us your feedback or anything you'd like to be discussed on the podcast. We have lots of ideas which we hope to get through in the coming months.
But for now, we'll say a bientôt. See you soon.
Bye.
Boom, boom. Bye.